I built my combat sports gym from nothing. No money, no space, and a full-time prison job that kept me locked away from the outside world for over 40 hours a week. But I'm gonna tell you why and how I did it this way. Because if you're like me and you love training and you love combat sports, then you probably would love to do this for a living. And it is possible. It's not a silly dream. And you can start this way too. And I can help you do it fast without wasting time, money, and energy like I did. All right, so in 2021, I moved to a new town for work. So this town had no martial arts, no boxing, no BJJ, not even karate. There was nothing here. And I wanted to train again since I didn't really train because of all the COVID stuff. So I hadn't really trained anything in like 2 or 3 years, besides what I do at home by myself, you know? So it had always been a dream of mine to have my own gym and do that for a living. But I never really entertained that idea because I always thought it wasn't possible, or like, that's not a real job. And you know, I should be more realistic, right? Like, I should stop chasing silly dreams, you know? So I thought about this pretty seriously for about a year, off and on. And then I promoted to a new position that had a better schedule for me. I started working 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. And in August of 2022, I decided to see what would happen if I started offering boxing or kickboxing classes on Saturdays. The catch was, I didn't really want to have to spend any money doing this, and I didn't have a whole lot of time. Although I knew I would have to spend a little bit of money, just it would be very limited, and I would have to budget like crazy. So I started trying to figure out how I could make that happen. So over the next 5 months, all of my free time was spent researching every option I could and coming up with a plan. So I looked into renting space, buying space, laws, requirements, and by December of 2022, I had realized that only doing classes 1 day a week was not gonna bring in enough revenue to afford our own space. So the cheapest place in this town was like $2,200 a month for 800 square feet, and that's not including utilities and insurance and everything else. So in nearby towns, there was a few shopfront buildings that would go for about $1,000 a month, and those would have been perfect, but they were like an hour away. So since this wasn't about making money, even though eventually I had hoped that this would give me a way out of my career that I've wasted 10 years in, I decided that the only thing that made any sense was to rent some space at the community center. So I began talking with the community center director and staff to come up with a plan of action. And this was January of 2023. So I decided to make the business a nonprofit because I thought maybe we could get more help, and I decided to make the classes free, especially since this was largely initially a test run and a way for me to figure all of this out because there was no resources on how to do this at all. So I regret making the classes free because even though I explained the situation to people, they didn't really care. They showed up whenever they wanted to, and they didn't take the class schedule seriously at all. You know, even though we know better, like we know that making something free devalues it, I still did it because I thought I was doing something good, and it was a bad idea. And that ended up costing me a lot of time and money. So yeah, don't do that. But I will say this, the right people will show up and they will stay for the long run. So between January and March of 23, I was kind of dragging my feet, fighting doubt and uncertainty, but I was getting everything set up on the marketing side. So I made a website and an Instagram account, and I launched those in February. sometime in February or March. But I was still researching everything, and I decided to start up classes in April. And I have notes and a video on 6 easy steps to start a boxing gym so that you don't have to waste all the time and energy that I did. So I kind of did a soft start on one Saturday in April, and actually a bunch of people showed up from all over the area because, like I said, the nearest combat sports places were over 80 miles away. There was people of all age groups and experience levels. And get this is why SEO is so important. I had not posted anything. I hadn't posted any ads or any kind of social media content before we did this soft launch. All of the people that showed up were people who had searched something like martial arts near me. Since my website was published like a month or two before the first class, these were just people who were Googling combat sports classes. You know, they were just Googling boxing near me or boxing. That was pretty amazing because it proved to me that there was a lot of demand, like a lot of demand for this. Anytime you look at, they don't have a whole lot of options for combat sports. So I can assure you that there is demand. Plus, you have to remember that some places aren't very welcoming to everyone. So there will always be people looking for a new place to train. All right, so I knew there would be different age groups. So I had a friend of mine there because he volunteered to help out and split off with the younger kids because he had brought some of his kids too. The problem was there was just too many people. There was too many people for me to coach and too many for the space that we had. And not only that, but we had to cut our space in half for all of the children that were there. So one of my first lessons was that I had to limit class sizes. I also quickly realized that we couldn't accommodate younger children because this was not about to be some sort of McDojo thing where we just have children running around and jumping around for an hour. So that was the start. I started the first class with some of my extra gloves at the community center, and I kept improving the class structure every time. I was limited on space and time because of the community center hours, but by the second week, I had 2 separate classes, one for kids and one for adults. And it took a little while before we started up classes on different days. But now look at us. We have our own space, we have a few different programs, and I would say the gym and the culture we have is flourishing. All of this to say that it can be done the hard way. It can be done if you have no money, if you're working full time. All it takes is a love for the sport and training and gym life, and it can be done. Now, I'm not the only one who would love nothing more than to be at the gym all day training and being around these types of people. So start your own gym because there's not enough combat sports gyms. There's not enough opportunities for people to train and learn this stuff. And you can do it your way. Whatever your coaching style is, it's gonna be unique to you. Some people may love your style and some people may hate your style. But you know what? The people that don't mesh with someone else's gym might be perfect for your gym. So yes, there is a need for your gym, and you can find the right people and they will stick around. I'll say that again, you'll find the right people and they'll stick around. So I'll even help you so that you get your classes started in 3 months or less without wasting all the time that I did. If you're serious about starting your own combat sports gym, I can help you do it faster without wasting time and money like I did. So grab my free guide on 6 easy steps to start a boxing gym. It'll save you months of trial and error. There's a link in the description. You can also check out my other videos on the same subjects. Remember, it's easier than you think, and it's not a silly dream.